I want to talk to you today about how you express your views in such a way that people will listen. Okay. This works when you're speaking with someone. It also works, of course, in your writing. And my focus right now is your writing, but it will work when you're having a discussion as well. So, this is you, this is your audience. And when you're talking to someone, it's so much easier to communicate your ideas if you're communicating clearly and if they're a willing listener, right? And I know you have ideas. You have a lot of ideas. And we talk about our topics, we'll talk about our books. You have so much to say, and it's worth saying. The nice thing about being able to have a conversation is that the listener is there and can clarify, right? The listener is there and can ask questions. The listener is there and can clarify, say, hey, I don't really understand, or can you give me another example, or do you really think that, or I don't understand your point. It can be back and forth so that all of your complex ideas can be offered to this audience. Writing is a little bit harder. And I think part of why it's so much harder is because all these ideas are in your head. You want to get it down onto paper, and your audience is not going to have the benefit of being able to ask you questions. They can't ask you, I don't get it. Can you explain some more? They can't ask for clarification. They can't ask for more examples. They can't ask why you really feel that way. So it all has to be organized. It all has to be linear. You have to take all these ideas you have and put them down line by line in a way that is organized and clear. So you're going from super complex ideas to super organized ideas so that when your audience reads it, it's clear. They're still getting your ideas, but in a way that makes sense and in a way that doesn't require them asking questions. I do think some of the difficulty when it comes to our writing really rests in the body paragraph topics. Okay. I'll hear a lot from my students that adults won't listen to what you have to say. And I have lots of issues with that statement in general. I want people listening to you. But some of my students have come back after a year or two with me, and they'll say, I speak differently now. And my parents say that I used to just repeat myself. I would just repeat the same point over and over. That happens in your writing too. So if I can break the habit in your writing, I think I can break the habit in your speaking as well so that people will listen. All right. So when you are brainstorming for your body paragraph topics, right? You know your thesis, but when you start thinking about what you want to communicate in the rest of your writing, a lot of times you'll come up with 3 body paragraph topics and you're like, boom, I'm done. A lot of times those are the same body paragraph topics over and over and over. I need you to brainstorm so much more than the first 3 things that you think of, right? A lot of times you're like 3 body paragraphs, there, boom, 3 topics, done. No, I need you to come up with all possibilities, and don't choose your first 3. I don't even want you to choose your 3 best. I'm using my air quotes. I know you can't see it, but I want you to choose the ones that are the 3 most different. That way, you're proving your point in different ways and really underlining what you're trying to say. Okay? Here's why I don't want you to go with your first 3. When you go with your first 3, a lot of times it's the exact same point you're making over, and over. It's the same paragraph in essence, but maybe with a different piece of evidence. And I know we need to prove the thesis up at the top. And that's one point you need to prove, but you need to prove it in different ways to really convince someone of your argument. Your first 3 paragraphs might be the same point over, and over, and you're not going to convince anyone that way. Sometimes also when you're choosing your best three, two of those will be the same, and then one comes out of nowhere. And it's like apple, apple, pine cone. Where'd that one come from? These two are the same in essence. This one, I don't know how that goes with everything. So you want to have body paragraphs that have a similar thread that seem to go together, that we call that parallel. You want body paragraphs that are parallel, right? They go together, they make sense together, but there's variety in there. All right. So if you were to brainstorm, you know, 7 or 8 different possible body paragraph topics, and you went through and you got rid of the ones that were the same or redundant, you would then choose the 3 that would make the most sense for your writing. Okay. And it would end up like this. You got a lemon, you got an orange, you got a pineapple. They're all fruit. They're all citrus even. But there's enough variety that I can tell that you're building on an idea, that you're convincing someone of your point in different ways. Hard to argue against that. Okay, so first things first, you got to come up with a thesis. Once you have your thesis, which we know how to do, right? Once you have your thesis, I'm going to insert a step into your writing process because it's going to make the rest of your writing so much easier and so much more clear for your audience. Okay, so we've got our thesis statement. Now I want you to choose a template, a plan for your body paragraphs. It took me a long time, it took me about 10 years, but I figured out there are really only, I don't know, I think we came up with like 8 or 9 different templates, 8 or 9 different plans for an essay. And there are more. I put these 6 here because they're the most common that we use. Okay. You can either, you got your thesis, you can either choose, okay, I'm going to go effect, effect, effect. I'm going to go reason, reason, reason. Sometimes those get similar. I'm going to go group 1, group 2, group 3 for my body paragraphs. You can do step 1, step 2, step 3, right? You can, as long as you have a plan, the variety will naturally start to happen. Okay, so let's give it a try. Here's our thesis, right? It's like a people should statement. You got who the people are, right? School boards must consider all stakeholders' opinions when making decisions. It's argumentative, it's clear. I know who needs to do what. Which of these plans, which of these differentiation, right? Different, which of these plans would work with that thesis statement? Could you do effects, right? The effects of the school board considering everyone's opinions? You could do that. You can see where reason would be possibly similar, it depends. 3 ways they could collect information, that would work. Could you do different groups? You could, right? School boards must consider all stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? People who are affected by those decisions. So who would be affected by the school board decisions? Right? Students, for sure, most important. So they'll go down here. Most important's last. Okay. Who else? Teachers. How about the families of the students, the supporters at home? Right? You could do group 1, group 2, group 3. You could even do the steps. Like first they need to do this, then they need to do this, then they need to do this. There's body paragraph 1, 2, and 3. So once you have your template, and we're going to practice, I've got a couple more thesis statements here for us to practice with. Once you have them, you'll be able to have different points that you're making. So we are going to practice, and I'm going to use the same format that is showing up in your skills practice slides. All right, so we're still going to do left and right annotations. When we take in information, we'll come up with a thesis, and then you will have another slide. Okay, and this is only temporary until I know that you've mastered these skills. Okay, then it will lighten up because I know that you've got it, right? But for now, you've got a slide for your left and right annotations, you've got your thesis, and then you would get this new slide. I'm skipping the left and right annotations and the thesis slide for now. I'm just jumping to this new one, and we're going to play with this thesis statement right here, right? Just for practice. So here we go. Okay, so as you can see, I'm like, where you put the title, an imaginary article about education. Okay, fine. We've got information about perfect thesis. It is linked if you need a refresher. And I put our practice thesis statement right up here. We need a body paragraph plan. We need a body paragraph template. Okay, so we can either do group, 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 or we can do reason, reason, reason. We could do step 1, step 2, step 3, whatever you guys want. And here where it says replace with your template choice, you can double click in there and you can type reason, 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 or groups or steps or whatever. Okay. I want you to come up with all possibilities, right? So if there's 5 different groups, there are 5 different groups that would go along with this statement. I want you to put all 5 in here. I know that we already did the 1, 2, 3. I'm just saying. Okay. I want you to put all of them in here, and I want you to choose the 3 most different. You're going to highlight those here. Once you brainstorm, you'll highlight the 3 that you think are the most different. You'll put those 3 here. Boop, boop, boop. I would like you to choose a 4th, just in case. Again, as soon as you master these skills, a lot of this gets wiped away. I know that you know how to do it. Therefore, we don't need to constantly be doing that exact same work. Okay? So you'll put the topics here. I would like you to write a topic sentence for this topic. I would like you to write a topic sentence for this topic, a topic sentence for this topic, a topic sentence for this topic. Does it seem like a lot? Maybe, but it's 4 sentences. You'll be fine, okay? If you're like, I don't really know how to do a topic sentence, yeah, you do. It's the same as a thesis, all right? So just give me whatever, let's say we're doing groups, right? Stakeholders should consider the opinions of teachers when making decisions. And I know this will seem redundant. I don't care right now. I'm just looking for understanding and the skill. So school boards must consider all students' opinions when making decisions. And we could even break up different groups of students, right? So again, all possibilities, and we'll go there. I would like you to replace this part with the evidence that you would use for this body paragraph topic. So if this were teachers, what evidence would be so convincing? If this were students, what evidence would be so convincing? Okay, and so on. So that's what you're going to do. That's what you're going to do today while we practice, and that's what you're going to do this week with the 2 materials that I'm giving you. Okay? All right, let's do it.